next work session is Sheriff's Office Annual Update. Sheriff Leonard.
I just want to say welcome, sir. We always appreciate you as you are what we consider the preeminent sheriff in America. We want to say that about you. Not the state, I'm saying America, because you do such a great, caring job. And you know, we don't often hear about problems as it relates to what you do. So we appreciate what you do. I just want to start with that comment because yesterday, I just share this for everyone. I received a call from a Dale constituent saying, make sure you send an email to every person in public safety and tell them we appreciate you. We thank you for the work you do day in and day out. And I said, I'm going to do it every time I get an opportunity. And if I have an opportunity to buy you some coffee or lunch, I'm going to do that too. So I urge others to take the opportunity as well. If you see them out, pay for the coffee, pay for the lunch.
So the way I look at it, I got about 55 free lunches coming.
Okay, sir.
Well, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Casey, again, thank you for having us here, and I appreciate that comment. I'm only striving to be the best sheriff in Chesterfield County and to help Chesterfield County achieve, even new levels of accomplishment. So I appreciate that. And before I get started, as we talk about AEDs, the common practice we have in the sheriff's office is every AED we have throughout the courthouses, 3 campuses, all the jail, and all our other offices, all of our AEDs also come with Narcan in them. Because the amount of overdoses we see in our communities, they happen everywhere, parking lots, parks. It's also good to have Narcan available to the public to assist for that. With me today is Mr. Ian Rober. Ian is our senior mental health clinician. There's a couple of things of interest I want him to talk about today. He's here because Ms. Carrie Rhodes and Ms. Bailey Hilliard are both in New York today. They're actually presenting to 300 jail administrators in New York State to talk about the recovery program we have here in Chesterfield County. Also with me is Colonel Matt Wilkerson, who is my chief deputy, who at 5 p.m. Friday becomes the most tenured person in the sheriff's office. As our most tenured person retires Friday, when he leaves, Colonel Wilkerson becomes the longest tenured member of the sheriff's office. So again, thank you for having us here. I'm going to be quick with a lot. These are our missions, our visions, and our guiding principles, and the one we really focus on the most is the guiding principle that we have a duty to serve, but we have a passion to do it with dignity and respect, and that's in every fiber of our DNA throughout the organization, and that's why we do what we do and how we do it. Simplifying what we do is the 4 C's, corrections, court, civil process, and the community, always trying to hone those and become the sharpest and brightest diamond we can be. The first, of course, is corrections. Our jail right now is nearing 20 years old. I know Mr. Bowles is dearly familiar with all the issues we're starting to see. As I always tell everybody, jails are like dogs. They age about 7 years for every one. And it's just because of the way the jails are constructed, the constant movement of doors, people in and out, it does wear, pretty much. So, we're starting to see the wear and tear on the facility. We have a major undertaking with the HVAC system now and some other things, so I just want to make you aware of that. As far as our annual intakes, we were seeing a decline in the number of new committals coming into the jail leading up to about the time when COVID set in, and then it kind of bottomed out. But the last 2 years, we've seen an uptick of people being arrested and committed to our jail. As you can see here already, for this fiscal year, we're about 7,400. And we won't have those final totals till after July 1st. But what's interesting with the increase of people being committed again is we've seen this steady decline of actually people staying in our jail. The previous slide was the number of people being arrested and getting processed in. But the number of people actually staying in jail is continuing to decrease. And I think it's important, and this goes back, I chose 2014 when I first became sheriff. In 2016 is when we started the HARP program. It just celebrated 8 years old just a couple months ago. And you'll see the steady decline starting with 2016, later part of 2016, all the way through to today. Our population continues to drop. I threw in there COVID because COVID really didn't start this decline, nor did all the criminal justice reforms of 2020. I'd like to say that's a direct responsibility or result, of the efforts within our jail for rehabilitation, restoration, and reentry. And I think there's no way to really deny that what we're doing in rehabilitating individuals is working. The study from VCU reflected a 23% recidivism rate. 23% recidivism rate is a complete opposite of what the national standard is. The national standard is 23% success rate. We have a 23% failure rate. So it's extremely high in our jail. We're really proud of that. I do want to talk about jail deaths because that's
Sheriff, before you
that's
move on,
important.
sir, you mentioned a HARP program, and so the first question that comes to mind is why the decline in the jail, people staying in your jail? Is it due to the HARP program, or what is it due to primarily, do you think?
Yes, sir. I do believe it's because
Let's go back. Yeah, thank you for that slide.
recidivism, our recidivism rate is extremely low, 23%.
Okay,
That's because when they get out of our jail, our tagline is breaking the cycle of recidivism by
Okay.
breaking the addiction.
okay,
And by getting people into long-term recovery and breaking that cycle where they continue to come in our front door or back doors, you're seeing less people in our jail population.
okay,
Today, we are at what I call equilibrium. We have as many people in our jail today as we have in Riverside. I suspect by next week, we'll have more people in Chesterfield County Jail than in Riverside. My numbers won't go up because I'm at capacity. The numbers overall continue to drop. And I do believe it's a direct reflection of the rehabilitation that we do inside a jail.
the HARP program.
And again, I always have to say this, HARP is just but one
Okay.
aspect of what we do.
Okay,
We treat the entire general population with services.
That's what I was going to say.
Thank you.
They have
Supervisor.
training programs to help them to build skills while they're in jail so that they can be gainfully employed when they get out of jail, even outside of the HARP program. So the fact that our jail is run the way it is and the inmates actually see some humanity, maybe for the first time for some of them in the jail, and they get to have more life skills and experience in how to do things to stay gainfully employed when they get out. I think all of that combined makes a huge difference in the recidivism rate.
yeah,
Thank you for all
thanks
you
for
do.
that comment, and I applaud that, Sheriff, because sometimes we want to share this among the nation. I know NACO meets each summer, and we usually attend, and this is a subject that always comes up. Every NACO meeting, we talk about jails, we talk about recidivism, we talk about issues. And so it's so important, I think, that we share successes that we had or are having with others so that they can replicate what we're doing here. So I applaud that effort and the comments you've made in that regard. Thank you. And Dr. Casey.
Just
You got like 20 of my slides you just covered, and I appreciate it.
and I don't want to speak for Sheriff Leonard, but the statistic is actually more admirable because if you recall, he's only in control directly with his programs and the Employee Everyday Excellence Award. Everything you've heard him speak about his care and attention is for the 350 people that are over here. So the other facility, Riverside Regional Jail, does not have those types of programs. So as the population goes down overall, he has a greater control over a higher percentage of those that are of Chesterfield affiliation. So I'm hoping, we all hope, that actually what you see going down can go down even faster, knowing that more and more of them are, as a percentage of total, are under our programmatic control.
Yes, sir. And to your point, Mr. Chairman, 2 weeks ago, we did have about 10 people come in from the governor's office, from their reentry office, and from DOC, specifically looking at what kind of reentry process can they put in statewide to help achieve these same things. So we're happy to be part of that. I do bring up jail deaths. Nobody likes us to talk about it. We don't want to jinx ourselves, but it's important to see that we average 0.63 deaths a year. And again, I start from 2014 when I took office. I mention this because it just doesn't happen on its own. It happens because we're very aggressive in the way we treat our inmates. We address any issues they have. We have the Avoid program, as you see up there, that was started by Major Huff a few years ago. The picture of the zero, those zeros are hung up throughout our jail. It's a constant reminder to all our employees. Our goal is zero. Zero deaths is our goal. And we focus on that every day, a constant reminder. So when you see that we haven't had a death in 3 years, it's not because it's just by chance. It's because there's a lot of hard work and investment on the part of all of our members working in the sheriff's office. Real quick, the Criminal Information Unit, or formerly known as Record Unit, 34,000 transactions last year. On great part from the help from the board in our budget this year and last year, we're able to finally go to a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week rotation, which is very essential for this. These are the individuals that enter every wanted paper, protective order, subpoena, things like that. And if they don't get it entered in a timely fashion, a law enforcement officer anywhere in this country can stop somebody who's wanted and not know that. So it's important for us to get those entered timely and keep the system updated. Classification Unit, almost 16,500 transaction in 2023. These are very complicated transactions when you start calculating good time credit for inmates. The worst thing you can do is keep somebody beyond their time, and the calculations aren't as simple as you got 3 years to serve. You have 3 years to serve. 1 year might be at this rate, 6 months might be at another rate. You have good time credit applying here. It's a very complicated system, and they do a lot of critical work for us. We've had a hard time actually keeping people employed there or attracting people for that position. So with the help of Gerard Durkin and Mary Martin Selby, we started to convert these positions over to deputy positions as they become vacant, only through attrition. That's how the process worked in the sheriff's office years ago. We're finding that it's necessary to go back to it now. Our medical unit saw over 26,000 patients in 2023, almost $10,000 in 10,000, I wish it was only $10,000. 10,000 prescriptions filled. It's a little bit more expensive than 10,000. And about 850 seen by our psychiatrist. The mental health unit, 721 individual clinical therapy sessions and 1,004 group sessions. I'm going to talk a little bit about more of that a little bit later on. And where Ms. Bailey Hilliard works, the Rehabilitation, Restoration, and Reentry Unit, I'm not going to go through that. These are all the programs that we offer in the jail for our entire jail population to help them better position themselves for successful reentry once they leave our jail. And it's a lot, as you can see there. I do want to talk a little bit about medically assisted treatment. This has been a challenge and continues to be a challenge for us. Again, we were doing this before it was mandated. It was the right thing to do, so we did it. Now it's mandated. It's become very frustrating because the number of people on methadone continues to increase as we see them come into the facility. And you talk about the legislation, sir. We are working with Congresswoman Spanberger, and we did plan on meeting with Senator Warner Friday. That's been postponed for a couple weeks. One of the things we're going to bring up is the changes that are needed federally. When they started these drug control acts to control methadone, it was written in the context of methadone clinics in the community, never with consideration of jails or prisons. So it completely missed anything in the legislation for that. So we're going to try to rectify that. Any federal change is going to be a slow process.
I understand, sir, but I thank you for taking the time and the effort to do so and pointing out why and what it was meant for. Because many times the legislation is enacted and people don't realize the end result of that legislation, and you demonstrate that so well. Thank you for taking that effort and for
Yes, sir.
meeting with Congress and Senate to do so.
Thank you. Next is your favorite slide, sir. District Enhancement Workforce Team. As you know, through your generosity last budget year, you authorized a fifth workforce team for us. We've assigned one to every magisterial district that actually responds to your request directly, and we work collaboratively in trying to keep Chesterfield County to be a clean, inviting county to come into. And we've had many instances where we respond to a request for huge trash dumps and things like that, and within hours we'll clean it up and save the county a significant amount of money. And I'm still in corrections here. Transportation unit, I want to put this up here.
Yeah, yes, Sheriff,
sir.
thank you for that. And when you talk about the litter, I want to also mention that I want media and communications to look at this issue with regard to communications, especially in areas of the county where we see this problem persisting, because it's not something that happens once, it happens over and over again. So I think we need a communications campaign or a media campaign to hopefully share with the citizens the importance of this. And it helps save the county as well in this regard. So that was something we'll want to work on. But thank you for your efforts. Greatly appreciate it. And so we'll want to continue to do better. We do better by communicating and educating. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And I'd be
Mr.
remiss, you're helping the county, and we really appreciate what you're doing for our citizens. But all of that work is actually the state's work. VDOT owns the roads and the right-of-ways, and they have the responsibility to pick up the litter. So we're doing it because we're taking an extra step in Chesterfield County to take care of our citizens, but we are actually all helping the state, who doesn't always fulfill their obligations.
Yes, sir. And one of their primary focuses is all the entryways into Chesterfield County. We want anybody who comes into Chesterfield County, their first impression to be, this is a clean, nice county. So they do focus on all those entry points throughout our different borders.
It should be noted, it's so important because these are entry points to Chesterfield. And also, I might want to highlight the need to make sure that the grass is mowed and cut appropriately as well. That's VDOT too, but
We
we
do
have to
that as
help
well.
them. We have to help the state. So we realize sometimes you have to help your brother who may be a little weaker. You got to help him out. And so that's what we have to do. We have to do what we have to do. I'm sorry, but that's where life is.
I'll stay with the lunches and we'll pass on the lawnmowers. Transportation unit, we've seen a significant increase in extraditions, not only the number of extraditions, but where they're going to. Many out-of-state extraditions we're doing on a regular basis now, many requiring overnight stays because of the distance they're going. That's something we're going to keep track of to see how this continues to trends up. But that's our transportation deputies are everywhere in Virginia, throughout Virginia, every day, running people back and forth. The next C is courts, and this won't be as long as the corrections one, I promise you. I mentioned that the jail is nearing 20 years old. The new courthouse is 39 years old. Yeah, well, 35 years old. 1989, we opened the doors. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I think 89 is 35. I think 35. So the new courthouse, as we still affectionately refer to it as, is 35 years old. And it still serves a purpose. We are back to post-COVID numbers. In fact, we're more than post-COVID. We're seeing numbers now we haven't seen in the past. We're seeing multiple juries a day. 3 juries a day is not unusual. To seat a jury of 12, you need about a pool of 100. To seat 3 juries of 12, you need about 300 people to come in every day and go through the process. So it's coming more challenging, the number of jury trials we're seeing. And just the sheer number of court trials we're seeing has really increased tremendously as well. On a good note, one of our high points is the safe exchange zone. We still really proud of this. It's the only one that we know of that is monitored by a deputy 24 hours a day. A deputy looks at this on camera 24 hours a day. Also comes equipped with an emergency button if you need it. The trend we've seen here, as you can see in the numbers, is we've moved away from goods, those online transactions for property, to more child custody cases, with 1,645 child custody transfers in just calendar year 2023. That's a lot, but we're happy to provide a safe environment for that to happen so no other harm or any harm comes to anybody. Moving on to the third C, civil process. These are our deputies who are out there every day serving papers. As you can see, in 2023, they served 79,000+ papers. That's 300 papers a day being served in Chesterfield County. That's a lot of work. The biggest thing we're seeing is the evictions, with almost 1,100 evictions in 2023. So far this year, we had a single day total of 31 in one day. And those are numbers we've never seen. And I'm not sure it has anything to do with COVID or post-COVID recovery, but we're seeing some very high numbers. We do work with our social services on all of these to make them aware of it. Fortunately, you can see of the 1,100 we did, only 277 were actually occupied. Now, that's still a high number of people who were evicted from their house. on that day we did the eviction. But these numbers continue to trend upward, and it's something that we want to really pay attention to.
Sheriff,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Supervisor Snyder, go for it.
So, are these evictions in apartments, or are they houses that they're losing, they're behind? Do you know or not? Is that something that
The
you guys?
majority, far majority are apartments.
Okay,
But we also do a lot of houses, and we also do businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Eviction from businesses, how does that work? Oh,
Same way,
really?
yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Those are low, but
Yeah.
we still do those as well.
Okay.
And we also serve liens on judgments that aren't satisfied through the courts, and we've done that a number of times.
So the question becomes, once you complete your person, do we have somewhere where we can help, cover, or what?
And I give
What
credit
do
to
we
the
do?
sheriff's office, they don't have to, but they do work. Social services is made aware,
Okay,
especially
social
the
service.
occupied units.
Okay.
And I would like to think, and maybe something we could work on even for businesses, that economic development may be a liaison for them. Someone may just need a smaller space, lower rental cost,
Okay.
possibly. But even
Okay.
a lot of the homes, that they may not necessarily be owner occupied, they could also be rental homes.
Yeah, I would hope that we will be somewhat proactive in terms of dealing with that situation. Again, dealing with the humanity. Some evictions are maybe certainly are necessary, but then I have to believe that there are those where maybe some help is needed. And what do we do in that situation? I guess is my question, and I think that's something that we need to evaluate. But 1,100, I got 1,100 evictions. That's a lot in 1 year.
Yes, sir.
Especially when it's perceived to be not a downturn in the economy per se. This economy should be doing well, but it's not doing well for everyone, is what we're learning and what we're seeing. And so the question is, what do we do in the intervening times, and how do we assist individuals in that regard? So I think that's something we can look at and evaluate from the county's perspective. But thank you for sharing.
We do have a proactive team in the county that's trying to prevent homelessness, including with the evictions, and that's a multifaceted, multi-departmental group that's working together on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm aware, but I just want to make sure that we are covering what we can cover.
So our fourth and final C is community. We realize that it not be for the community, we would not be who we were today. We only are able to do what we do because of the support of the community. And we enjoy a great relationship because we spend a lot of time in the community investing in them in every turn. Last year, we did 120 community service events throughout the year and citizen contacts with 35,000. Some of those programs you see below are some of our still most popular ones. The hunter safety course, the concealed carry course, of course. The only thing we charge is food donations for Chesterfield Food Bank, and that's our cost to the citizens for these programs. So moving on to where we are and where we're going, our guiding quotes: without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. We also have another quote by somebody not as distinguished as Benjamin Franklin. It goes to what I said earlier. We cannot be solely focused on one program, nor last year's accomplishments. So we're always striving to improve year after year, to become just a little bit better than we were the year before. We're not going to sit back on our laurels and do that. So new in 2023 was our first national accreditation. In 2003, we were accredited by the Virginia Law Enforcement Accreditation, VALEPSI. VALEPSI, however, just accreditates the organization. It does not accredit the jail, the courts, medical, or anything like that. So in 2023, we pursued national certification and accreditation of our medical department, and we achieved that in 2023. In 2024, currently we're pursuing National Commission of Correctional Healthcare accreditation on our mental health program as well as our recovery program. And we're also seeking American Correctional Association accreditation for our jail. The jail is not accredited. The organization is by VALEPSI, and that National Commission of Correctional Healthcare has accredited medical. The jail is still unaccredited. So we're going to fix that in 2024 with these achievements. Also new in 2023, we created, because of the generosity of the board last year, and granted us the new division, the personnel for that, our behavioral mental health division was created. And, you know, they are administering to what is the number one problem in this country and in this community, and that's mental health. Our jail is now seeing large numbers of people with severe mental illness come into the jail every day. And we cannot just simply house them, let them serve their time, and then have them leave at the end of that. So that was a great addition for us in 2023. Also new in 2023 was the establishment of the Recon program. And I'll let Eon speak about this for a second.
So the Recon program is through a partnership with George Mason University. We've got 3 peers, 2 of which were actually trained as peers from the HEART program. They are working for rapid engagement with folks that are downstairs. So they cover a gap that we saw before, that are short-time folks in the facility that need particularly substance use services. So they have the ability to set people up with Suboxone services as soon as they get out. It could be recovery housing as well. I know for our team, they're a godsend because they catch people that we don't even know about before they leave. So their numbers have been great. We have quarterly meetings seeing their progress. Huge addition for our team. So it's a peer-led team.
And do you remember the percentage of people who would potentially overdose and die who did not receive services? It's a high percentage of those, and this is one of the gaps. The people that come into our jail and are only there for 24 hours, who are suffering from substance use disorder, we don't get them into the system long enough to get them into recovery, and that's what this program does. It fills that gap. Also new in 2023 is, I think, one of the high points of what we do. It's a program called I Never Thought It Would Be Me.
Yeah, and this goes towards the recidivism conversation we were having. We're empowered by the sheriff to think outside the box, and one of these is this program here. This is an inmate outreach program that we do with the local schools. So we take 4 of our inmates from the HEART program, usually 2 men, 2 women, along with us staff, and we do both a storytelling and education program for high school students. It's not a scare tactic kind of program. It's more explaining the stigma around addiction, as well as how people kind of fall into that through the stories. We've seen an incredible impact on students of hearing those stories. We have to our inmates afterwards to talk with them because they've really impacted them. And a lot of them have families that deal with it too. And we've had that happen a lot at our presentations. So far, Manchester, James River, and one of the governor's schools have been where we've done it.
Also new in 2023 was we brought in the Bridge device to use in folks when they're starting their withdrawal or going through withdrawal. This was just on a news report on Channel 12 last night. This is a significant achievement for us to be able to help people who are coming in. If you're somebody suffering from substance use disorder, using drugs, when you get to jail, you stop using drugs. You're going to go into withdrawal. It's a given. This is one of our ways to help treat those when they go into withdrawal. Withdrawal from opioids is one of the most traumatic, toughest withdrawals there is on a human being. This device is, and I'm not going to go, you know how to explain it? Go ahead.
So the device, it works with kind of auricular stimulation on certain nerve points, using the vagus nerve, which is your 10th cranial nerve. That kind of relaxes your stress response system, which then has an effect on withdrawal symptoms. So it's just a very easy implant here on the ear. Just sends tiny little pulses. It's a 5-day device.
That's why I brought him. What I can tell you is I witnessed a young lady who was in a very bad withdrawal, laying on the floor in the shower. Had no control of her functions, bodily functions, in severe pain. We put this device on her, and in 20 minutes she was sitting in a chair in group, participating with everybody else, talking like we are talking today. The advertised time of effectiveness starts around 40 minutes. We've actually seen it as early as 10 minutes. To get through the pain of withdrawal and now focus on recovery, you're doing a lot for the individual. Another thing that's new in 2023.
Dr. Miller.
If I could just interrupt for a second. That program is with a grant, correct? Or how is that being funded?
This program is not grant funded right now. We're the only jail in the United States doing this. We're working with the company, Massimo Company. and they're giving us a little bit break on the price because we're actually building up their ability to promote the device through our successes. We've only had one failure with the device, and it wasn't that it didn't work. It was that he went into the shower with it on, and it short-circuited it, and we had to throw that one away. Every time we've used this device, we've had success. And so right now, we're working with the company to develop this data for them, so we're getting a little bit of a break on the price, but it is not covered with the grant right now.
I just wanted to mention, I met with those folks when I was attending the NACO conference in Austin. These are pretty incredible, very authoritative, very inquisitive folks. They know what they're doing. And so I'm really excited about this program as a way of supporting our folks, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Thank you, sir. And I will say, one of the interesting uses of this is coaxing somebody in who is wanted, or coaxing somebody who's not wanted, who's in substance use disorder on the outside, coaxing them to get into long-term recovery. To be clear, nobody suffering from addiction continues to use drugs to get high. You're not getting high. The only reason they continue to use drugs is to avoid going through withdrawal. The withdrawal is that devastating that they'll choose to use drugs the rest of their life just to avoid going through withdrawal. So now if we can offer somebody in the community a chance to come off of your drugs, get into recovery where you don't have to go through withdrawal, this has a great application in our community even before or without getting arrested and coming into a jail facility. Also new in 2023 was our new animal-assisted therapy program, and yes, those are 2 miniature ponies that are training to be certified therapy animals. That is Smiley on the left and Linus on the right. And we had them out last week at Emergency Communications Center, ECC. Huge. We brought them out to the Commonwealth Attorney last week. And how was that turnout? It was
great. It was really great.
Great turnout. Yeah. So again, the dog in the middle is not inmate focused, that's employee focused. The other 2 are for both employees and inmates. Also new in 2023 is something, Mr. Engel, you were referring to, is we brought in the nation's leader in roofing supplies. They actually reached out to us, came in and did a week-long training certification course to become roofers. If you don't think this is stretching our deputies, when I say let them bring hammers in, nail guns in, straight razors in, box cutters in, and we did. But all that is to teach them how to actually do roofing. They actually built roofs inside our jail and then ended up putting shingles on them and things like that. This was on Channel 8 News. It got run on Channel 8 News. The next day, I had a roofing company in Chesterfield County hire 2 people out of this news release. And he said, I don't want this one, I want this one, and I don't want this one, I want that one, because I could tell the way to swing a hammer, they know what they're doing. And that's a true story. And 2 of them are still working now. They released, they work for the company, and but giving them this other chance to successfully reintegrate into the community. This was something else new in 2023. We had an organization reach out to us from Maine. It's called Unlocking Harmony. Here, they challenged every individual in the program to compose a song with not only the words but also the music that talks about their life story. That's just another way of reaching down, identifying that trauma, getting them to identify why they use drugs. What causes you the pain that you got to run to drugs to mask? You want to talk about this program?
Yeah, they have an interesting approach. They call it documentary songwriting. So it's basically using narrative interviews with, I think they had about 15 women in that group, got all their stories, and the group collectively selected the stories they wanted to develop into songs, used the interviews to do that, and then the person had to come up with their own melody. They kind of fleshed that out, performed it. We were all there for the pod. We know that therapeutically, if people are in that creative space, they're not in that fight or flight space. So we're really excited about that. And honestly, just seeing the confidence and the pride of having a performance like that. For many of the women, they've never performed musically in that way. Believe it or not, we still have that group coming. They were here just yesterday. I heard them down the hall practicing. There's a choral director and a musician that works with them.
In the same vein of putting them into that creative space, new in 2023 was our flower arrangement therapy class. which they also did an amazing job. It became an art exhibit in downtown Richmond. I think, Dr. Casey, you went out to see it. It was a very nice display. Did you go as well? Thank you so much. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we've got a horticulture class that we do weekly already, and we were fortunate that the horticulturist is also a social work student, and she saw an opportunity to pair what we do with mindfulness meditation with floral arrangement, and so using a practice called savoring in particular to really help people savor and enjoy certain experiences again. One thing we know with the brain in addiction is that once it's experienced these very highs with substances, it's very difficult to experience daily rewards. And so savoring mindfulness practice has been shown to help the brain recover from that. So she did a great job at pairing that with the floral arrangement. Then we had the exhibit, which also raised money for our nonprofit that helps people on the outside. So it was a win-win for everybody.
And also new in 2023, well, let's just say we were rocking, and we continue to rock. I will say the Jelly Roll experience had a lot of post-appearance benefits for us. One, he did drop $20,000 on us to buy musical equipment and sound equipment for the jail inmates. We've purchased that. We're using them a lot for a lot of these programs we do. He also testified in front of Senator Warner, as you may know, and really touted the HARP program, which is the reason Senator Warner is coming down to visit us. So a lot of new things in 2023 kind of puts us on notice for what we're going to do new in 2024. So stay tuned. Staffing update, we are in good shape, thanks in most part to the board. The budget that is coming into play in July, FY25, really sets us up for success. Over the last several years, we've had to create these other positions out of need, out of changes in law, out of demand, and none of these positions were actually funded or came out of a process. But what we did this last budget session was to ask for positions to replace these. All of these positions came out of the jail. It's put my jail at some deficiencies, but with the generous budget you all have bestowed upon us, we were able to replace all of these in the jail in July and put us in really good shape. Our challenges, however, mental health, first and foremost. The two pictures of the deputies there, this is what's called one-on-one. When you have somebody with serious mental illness, with all those ideations of self-harm and that, they get placed on what's called a one-on-one observation. You cannot do this through a camera system. You cannot do this by occasional pass-bys. A deputy has to have an eye on you 24 hours a day. This results in this deputy being pulled out of the shift rotation. If there's an emergency, an uprising, that deputy cannot leave that post. They must stay there the whole time. So essentially, the shift loses the use of them in the back of the jail. The picture on the right is a pretty fresh picture. It's from yesterday morning, 6 a.m. This is another incident of somebody we had a temporary detention order for and unable to get a bed for the person. This is not the person. This is my deputy's arm. This is a bite mark from somebody we were sitting on for over 24 hours because we could not find a bed for them. And 24 hours may seem like a long time to you all. We had somebody 2 months ago who we sat on for 26 days to find a bed. 26 days. Mental health is the number one issue we're facing right now in the jail. Hospital duty as well. The population coming to the jail is in the worst health that we've seen in decades in the jail. They're coming in with a lot of issues pre-existing, and it's costing us to spend a lot of time in hospitals now. Just yesterday, we had 3 people in hospital. 3 people in the hospital is 6 deputies off the shift. 6 deputies who have to be with you 24/7 as you sit in your hospital room. And that's been a real challenge, and that's getting worse for us as well. Retirements are starting to crop up, unannounced retirements, and we kind of knew this was coming. I'm happy to say that we're almost at full staff today. With the number of retirements we see coming in for July 1st, we're going to start seeing, I think, that steady flow of people out. Recruiting is still one of our major efforts, trying to take care of that. And one of the last challenges is the FOIA requests, just the sheer number of them and the size and volume of what they're asking. We do not have a FOIA person in our organization. It comes as a collateral duty to many other people who work in our sheriff's office. But this is an area that's just going to, I think, continue to grow and be an issue for us. And that really is what we've done, what we're going to do, and where we are.
Well, thank you for that excellent report. Supervisors, comments, questions, please. Thank you, Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you so much for all that you do. You guys are on top of everything. I don't want to say everything, but you guys are doing like a 100% job over there. Again, the care and the dignity that when I went there, it was just so evident in the inmates and the folks that are there. And they respect you. And I think that has a lot to do with the way they are treated. And a lot of them, as Mr. Engel had said before, don't understand that they've come from a place that they've never received that. And again, I think that has something to do with the success that back out also, because they are given self-worth and value by being in the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor. Other supervisors? Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr. Chair. I have a couple of questions with regard. First, sort of thank you for the work that y'all are doing. My question is around the hospitalizations, and more importantly, when you see those folks coming in with the mental health issues, I'm not sure if you can answer this question. You get a sense of what that is. Is it a psychosis, or is it? What's happening?
We've definitely seen an increase in what we call SMI, like serious mental illness, coming through. What I've seen in this last year is we have a lot of folks that were actually in the middle of being hospitalized on the community level, when an ECO is what we call it, emergency custody order. Something happens in the middle of that being carried out, and they end up with us. Lately, we've also had a number of people come on precautions from other facilities. We had one from Newport News the other day, Hanover. So there seems to be, this week we had 10 people on suicide precautions, and it's Wednesday. So we see more of that risk, but on the community level, it's definitely psychosis, behavior. It can get pretty graphic in terms of what we see with folks, but it starts with the suicidal precaution and then usually grows into a TDO, temporary detention order, or something like that.
So when you're reaching out to try to get them hospitalized, where are you reaching out to?
So we have a really good relationship with the CSB crisis unit. So according to Virginia code, they're actually the one that does the evaluations.
Right.
Our team goes down and does the initial evaluations and triages what we can, but almost immediately we're getting them involved to do those either in-person or televideo evaluations to jumpstart that process.
Right.
As you probably know, they have a lot going on their end community-wise, and so it's a lot of resource sharing, getting someone over to help us at times. But it is a partnership, so we're usually working hand in hand with Julie Cox and company over there.
Right, but when you want to move them now, transition them to a hospital, where are you transitioning them to? What's available?
Hence the 26 days. We struggle to find beds available to them. And we have to sit on them for the 72 hours is the duration of a temporary ECO, TDO. What we've seen now is a second back-to-back one will be issued, giving us 144 hours. If we do not find a bed at the end of that 144 hours, with an individual still in crisis, our only option is to release them into the community while they're in crisis. I'm not legally allowed to hold them any longer than that paper is valid for. So we are failing the people actually in crisis and simply releasing them back into the community while they're still in crisis. So we're trying to be creative in what we do. Central State is not an option. Unfortunately, it's not. We work with Chippenham a lot, but they've only have a handful of beds. The individual who did the biting of my deputy yesterday, we finally got her into a bed this morning, and it was a 4.5-hour drive away. We'll go anywhere we can to find a bed. And unfortunately, it's not that easy, and that's the problem. We do not have enough bed space in Virginia.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm going with this, is I want to highlight that continues to be a problem, and it's been a problem for a very, very long time. And I'm appreciating y'all being able to do it, and at the same time, it shouldn't be done that way. So any way that we can help with that, I think on all levels, especially, of course, on the state level with our delegates and our senators, that a solution needs to be found for these folks that are in such crisis.
We do have a significant visit on June 12th coming up with the Virginia Behavioral Health Commission. That's 12 sitting senators and delegates coming for the sole purpose to learn about mental health in jails, and they picked Chesterfield County Jail to come to. Following their visit to our jail, they're hosting a meeting at the Public Safety Training Center. We are going to use this opportunity to let them know what the truth is about mental health or the lack of the resources available. And I think you'll receive notification of that in the next couple of days.
Excellent. Thank you, Sheriff. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Carroll.
just wanted to say thank you for everything you do. You're, as I've said before, I think we have probably the best public safety team in not just the Commonwealth of Virginia, but perhaps the United States. And you, unfortunately, are never going to be able to retire. You've set the bar very high, so I'm very sorry. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Engel.
I have no plans on retiring.
Be here for a while. Keep up the good work on
Yeah.
all the outside of the box thinking that the reason why Chesterfield is different is because you do allow things that no other jail allows, including previous inmates who are not incarcerated coming to jail, knocking on the door and being able to come in and be serviced in a program. Like, that just doesn't happen. And what y'all are doing has made a difference, and I think that's why, unfortunately, people try to get from other jurisdictions here. Oh, I'm locked up somewhere else. I committed a crime in Chesterfield. You need to send me there, so that they can actually get. But what you do is for our citizens, and the humanity that you bring back to people that need it is much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Well said. You used the word humanity. Thank you for that, because that's the one word I was going to use, the humanity that you display. We appreciate so much what you do. I greatly appreciate your improvement, the process that you outline, how you continue to improve and be better and do better. And I think we expect that of everyone. At least I expect it of everyone in Chesterfield. We don't want status quo. We want improvement. We want people being the very best they can be and finding solutions to our problems, as you'll work with regard to our senators and those who are coming from the behavioral health area and finding beds. The good news is I did hear that the governor has put more money in his budget and for services, so I think solutions are on the way. So working with the state, with the governor, and with others, we're going to make a difference in the lives of these citizens that we serve. And, you know, when you think about it, these are someone's brothers, sisters, parents, or brothers, or sisters, or relatives. These are someone's family members. And so I greatly applaud the humanity that you display and the excellence that you do in all your duties. I mean, you continue to do exceptionally well. I'm greatly impressed with your presentation. I think I know I haven't seen one better yet in terms of what you're doing and what you're planning to do. I had just one quick question on something that I remember seeing in a prior presentation. You had a deputy that visited with a senior. Do you still have the senior visitation program in place? I remember seeing they were playing cards, as I recall.
Yes, it's called Seniors in Touch. That program's been around for a while.
Yes.
I will say we are phasing that program out, not because we're abandoning our seniors. It's because Chesterfield County Social Services has a very good program for seniors as well.
Excellent.
So we're going to combine our efforts and transfer our people over to their program to get the whole host of services.
Excellent.
So-
Very good. Well, we applaud you. We thank you for what you're doing, and we'll continue to provide the resources you
Yes, sir.
need, as needed, to meet the needs of the people. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here today, for the excellent presentation, and for the outstanding work you do. And your team as well. Let's give all of them a hand, if you could. For this team here. That's it.
I do appreciate that, sir, but I would be remiss if I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
say all of our accomplishments, everything that we've done, especially since the formation of HARP 8 years ago, could not have been done without the support of this board and this administration. And you all have been very supportive of us from day one, and I appreciate that. So anything we have accomplished is really a direct result of your support throughout those years, too. And you deserve an applause as much as we do for everything you do for us.
Thank you for your kind. Thank you. Thank you.